So Kupp, great pick. Welcome addition to any team. Travis Kelce, tight end. You're looking at top 2 tight ends. I'm sorry. I really put Gronk at number 3. Kelce is 1 or 2. He's either ahead of or directly behind Ertz. You have a guy that's ranked 55th overall. 2 points in his first game. Really bizarre. 30, 20, 20, 16, and 11. You're looking at high-end possibilities, but really no bankable floor there, which sucks. Last year he got hurt, and the problem with tight ends and the role that they hold on teams is the fact that they have to block. They have to be a defensive, offensive person. So it really takes wear and tear on the body, and once you show that you can be hurt, and once you show that you're a top target on a team, and you're acting as a wide receiver, these guys, these wide receivers, man, they really... Sorry, just checking a text message. Wide receivers, I mean, they really hone their craft, man. They are trained to protect their body. They're trained to use the sideline as a comfort blanket, where once I've reached that sideline, I'm safe. I can't get hit. That's not the case with tight ends. They're catching balls over the field. They're getting hit almost every single time they catch the ball. He got hurt last year. He missed a lot of the season. That's a red flag immediately for me, although he is an elite. So definitely a good pickup for you. Good draft there, getting Travis Kelce. That's a guy that you want to have on your team. You can't bank on a guy getting hurt. That's the problem. It is part of the game, but you can't plan on it, because if he doesn't get hurt and you passed up on him, he will fuck you. He will burn you. He will cost you a game if you're playing against him. So, a little bit underwhelming this year for him. Top 55 overall, which is great numbers. Not Zach Ertz, who is top 50, number 49 overall. Zach Ertz, you're looking at 10, 20, 13, 22, 27, and 18. I mean, this guy has a bankable floor. Kelce doesn't have that yet. He might eventually, but who knows? Then your running back situation is just a complete fucking disaster. And unfortunately in fantasy football, it's like when you say in baseball, defense wins championships, pitching wins championships. Running backs win fantasy football championships. And as prolific as your wide receiver game is, Emmanuel Sanders is always subject to being the number 2 guy. Kupp's always subjected to being the number 2 or 3 guy. You need to have a strong running back, and you don't have one. You picked up Leonard Fournette, which, I mean, who could blame you for that, man? The guy is one of the best runners that the NFL has ever seen. Poor bastard just cannot stay healthy. Here's a guy that nobody doesn't like, nobody has a bad thing to say about. He's a strong-hearted guy. He's a integrated, valuable member of the community. He is somebody to look up to, somebody to idolize, but the motherfucker cannot stay on the goddamn field. It really sucks, man, and it sucks because you have to take him, but just not. Oh, man, it's looking like it's really burying you this year. At least you picked up TJ Yeldon. That was good. Same shit with me, man, bro. I got fucking Le'Veon Bell, and I got James Conner. The biggest fuck you ever is when you draft Le'Veon Bell and somebody else has James Conner. I'm in another league. The number 12 pick got James Conner. The number 1 pick took Le'Veon Bell. Could you imagine having Bell on your bench all fucking year and not having James Conner? Bad fucking situation. At least you were smart enough to get TJ Yeldon. he'll get volume numbers, but man, he's just not as good as Fournette. The problem is Jacksonville's just not that good of a team offensively. Their defense is what keeps them in the game ultimately, and a lot of their fantasy numbers come from being behind and Bortles just getting these sympathy touchdowns from teams that have given up a long time ago. And the problem is Jacksonville goes down so fast, even if it's only by a touchdown or two. When your quarterback is Blake Bortles, you gotta abandon the fucking run game. You gotta start hucking the ball, and Fournette's really a victim of circumstance on that team. That sucks. I really hate that happened to you, Jamil. But that's really going to end up hurting you ultimately at the end of the year. That might end up costing you a playoff spot if Fournette can't put together a couple 20, 30-point games, which doesn't look like is going to happen. The guy steps on the field, he's hurt immediately. It's like Dalvin Cook. It's really sad. He played a lot more than Dalvin Cook last year, so you have a lot more confidence and a lot more faith in him. But the fact of the matter is the guy cannot stay healthy, and I hope he does. I hope he figures it out. But at this point, he's not going to be a Barry Sanders, bro. He's not going to be a Maurice Jones-Drew. He's not going to be a Fred Taylor. He's not going to be a Jacksonville elite running back, because they do have the system that works for running backs. A weak quarterback, a couple mediocre wide receivers, and they always have a good running back. He is that guy, but he does not seem able to stay healthy and sustain a fantasy football year. So ultimately, your first-round pick may end up costing you your season, which sucks because I love you and I love Fournette. I wish the best to both of you, but I don't have high hopes. Latavius Murray, you're dumb. Al Morris, also dumb. Blake Bortles. I mean, your bench is an absolute wasteland. You really need your starters to string together a couple good games. The good news for you is that you have Russell Wilson, who after his bye and for the rest of the year is a bankable 28 to 40 point guy every single week. I mean, he finishes every year so fucking strong. You could really base a fantasy football team around Russell Wilson. If Cooper Kupp can stay healthy and Emmanuel Sanders can keep up his production, you're really realistically looking at almost 80 points between those three guys before you even get to your wasteland of a team. Add in Kelsey, you might be looking at 100 points between five guys without your kicker, your defense, your running backs, or your flex. So that's a good position to be in if Wilson does what Wilson does every year. Sanders keeps up his production, Kupp stays healthy, Kelsey stays healthy. Marvin Jones, you have him. I mean, here's the thing, man. He's just not worth it anymore. Kenny Golladay has taken that team over. Kenny Golladay has fucked Marvin Jones Jr. so far up his ass, he doesn't know whether he's coming or going, man. I mean, Golden Tate is there, and Golden Tate's number one status is really in jeopardy. Did you see my man Kenny Golladay take his fucking hand and smash Clinton Dix into the ground for a touchdown? That guy is the future wide receiver of that team. That brings Marvin Jones down to the number 3 on a team that is run by Matt Stafford, who's a great quarterback, at least for fantasy. Puts up amazing quarterback numbers, holds a lot of records, actually. For a team that sucks ass and can't make the fucking playoffs, the guy puts up numbers, and he is a fantasy GOAT. But Marvin Jones is on his way out, so you might want to try to make a trade there somewhere. Honestly, I like that you have Kupp and Sanders. Your running back situation is a disaster. You should probably try to dump Marvin Jones off for a running back at some point. If you can, I think I would say he's worth a Carlos Hyde, but I wouldn't trade you. But, you know, maybe, I don't know. Maybe an Isaiah Crowell. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with this guy, but Marvin Jones is definitely on the downtrend. If a trade comes your way for a running back, you should definitely go for it. But all in all, if all your guys go off, possibly a playoff team, it would definitely be down to you and Turner for the 6th spot. Clearly, I think me, Jesse, Morrow, Griffin, and Alec definitely have much more bankable teams. I think you, Shay, and Turner are fighting for the last spot. I hope it's you or Turner. Shay making the playoffs just kind of bothers me. It makes my asshole itch. Like, makes my asshole itch. Shay making the playoffs. I mean, he has the best team, so I mean, what hope do any of us have? If Shay makes the playoffs, we're all fucked. He has the best team, and we have no chance. What a segue. Now we're going to go into Shay. The best team. Phillip Rivers, perennial great fantasy quarterback. Number 4 overall in fantasy football this year. Bargain pick. I will begrudgingly do this. Cheers to you, Shay. I can only assume you got him between the 8th and 12th round. Cheers to you. You got Phil Rivers on a bargain, and he's having a fucking hell of a year. 40, 30, 26, 32, 32, 25. His worst game is 25 points. Good for you, motherfucker. You got him. Now, Todd Gurley. I should have taken him. And I still have no regrets. I told you from the start of this, I have no regrets. Because Le'Veon Bell has done nothing but be the top fantasy performer in the past 6 years and the best running back in the NFL over the past 6 years. I have no regrets. Good for you, Todd Gurley. AJ Green. I wouldn't take him with my 2nd round pick. You're looking at a team that constantly sucks in Cincinnati. They're like the 2nd favorite team in that state. And Cleveland has won 1 game in 2 years. And they're more beloved. The fans hate that team. The quarterbacks can't stay healthy. Andy Dalton always gets fucked up. And as soon as he gets spry and feels good and he's having a few good games, he's always prone for that 5-interception game. They're bitches to their division. They get smacked by the Ravens. They get smacked by Pittsburgh. They always have a nail-biter with the fucking Browns. They'll win, but what the fuck? How are you not blowing these guys out? AJ Green's the kind of guy where as far as the top end wide receiver goes, in my opinion, he's in the league of Mike Evans or Julio Jones. Top end boomer bust. You have a floor of 10 points. When you say boomer bust, it could be 2 points or 30 points or 20 points maybe. He's not straight boomer bust, but he's top end boomer bust. And what I mean by that is when you say top end, you want this guy to put up 15 points or more every single game in PPR. And he's just not that guy anymore, you know? And he, to be honest with you, he's never really been that guy. This year he's got a bankable floor, but his ceiling is He ain't putting up 30. He ain't putting up 40 or 50. But he has a bankable 15-point floor. I won't cheers you to that pick because you could have done better in the second round. You could have taken Michael Thomas probably. Keenan Allen, although he's not having as good a year as A.J. Green, I probably would have taken over him. You could have done better. Probably definitely could have done better. What do you got here? 18, 30, 10, 18, 18, 15. Bankable floor. Having a decent year. Good for him. But, again, not a guy you take in the second or third round. I think you took Jerick McKinnon in the second round, which I don't blame you for because I was extremely high on Jerick McKinnon, and if you didn't take him, I was taking him on that wraparound. So I'm happy you did. I lost him in another league. That's really fucking sad, actually. I will say that. I take no pleasure in you losing Jerick McKinnon for the simple fact that he always lived in the shadow of somebody in Minnesota. He lived in Adrian Peterson's shadow, and when Peterson got hurt, McKinnon would do all the work, and fucking shitbag Matt Asiata would fucking vulture a touchdown from him all the time. And then he had to live behind Dalvin Cook. Finally, he had a chance to go to the San Francisco team with fucking Jimmy G. Really bright outlook, and it just didn't happen. I'm really sad to see that happen. I'm not saying it happened to you, because I love when your team gets fucked, because I love when you get fucked. You're a very smug, cocky person, as am I, which is why everyone was rooting for Robbie Gould to beat me tonight and put me in fourth place via a kicker, which didn't happen. Cheers to me, first place. But I'm not happy to see that happen to McKinnon. So A.J. Green in the third round, good pick. Cheers to you. But somebody that took, like 4 or 5 wide receivers, Doug Baldwin, bum. Could have told you that. Would never tell you that because I don't give advice to people during the draft. Baldwin's trash. And it sucks because at the point you draft him, that means mentally you think he's worth starting every week when realistically he isn't. On my team, I wouldn't start him. You could give him to me for a kicker and I wouldn't start him. Baldwin is just not bankable. He has no bankable floor. Now he looks injury prone, which is fucking crazy. He's aging, and Tyler Lockett owns that team. Once Ed Dickson comes back, which, fuck you, Franklin, for taking Ed Dickson. I took him in my other league. I thought I was ahead of the curve by taking him 3 weeks before he came back. Franklin took him in our league. Watch out for Ed Dickson. Mark my words, Ed Dickson. Seattle, tight end, pass-catching tight end with Russell Wilson is going to blow the fuck up. He's going to put Baldwin as the number 3 target, dude. The only thing that sucks more than having Doug Baldwin is owning a fucking running back on Seattle. Fuck me. That was my second mistake of my draft. Number 1 was not taking Will Fuller and taking Crabtree. Number 2 is taking Chris Carson. I was high on him. Fuck me. He looked great last year. I had Fournette and Cook in a league and Carson on my bench. And when they both went down in the same fucking night, Fournette and Cook both got hurt. I said, at least I got Carson. And then Carson got hurt too. And now he looks like a shell of himself from last year, and everyone knows banking on a fucking Seattle running back is a sucker's game. Pete Carroll, why do you hate running backs so much? Let's look at the rest of your team. A bunch of my sloppy seconds. You had Will Dissly, who, don't forget that I remember calling you out on that one. I dropped him for being a bum, and then you picked him up, and he got hurt and was a bum, and that's why I have Ed Dickson in another league, but not here. I shouldn't have even brought up Ed Dickson. But sloppy second. I dropped Demaryius Thomas. You know how much that broke my heart to do? But you picked him up, and you benched him the week he actually went off in garbage time, mind you. Guy's a shell of a former self. I mean, hardly even worth rostering. At this point, I wouldn't even flex Demaryius Thomas with my lineup. I'm sorry, it's getting hot in here. I gotta take this Red Sox jersey off. Oh, what do I have here? Hall of Famer Teddy Bruschi. I'll have a Bruschi to Teddy Bruschi. You picked up Tavon Austin. So I'm done talking about your team because you're rostering Tavon Austin. Is his running back, wide receiver, dual mode exciting you? Do dual modes excite you? Do you like trannies, Shay? I feel like you're a guy that might like trannies. Chicks with dicks, boys with boobs. Whatever you could get, right, Shay? Anyway, you have the best team. Congrats. Which brings me to Alex's team. Alec, one of my closest friends in the league. I love you, brother. For those of you that don't know, when I started at Cheesecake, I was in a really dark point in my life. I told Alec I might kill myself. Yeah, it's very grim. Yeah, it's a very light-hearted podcast. It's turned fucking dark, but that's what this is all about. We're all friends here. We're all fucking adults. We all trust each other, and I trust and I love all of you fuckers. Except Shay. That being said, Alec, I love you, bro. Let's look at your team. Tom Brady, can't talk shit there. You kind of have to draft him a little early, and I don't think that he's a fantasy viable quarterback in the sense that where you have to draft him at the point in the draft that you have to take him at. I'm not sure that he's worth it. He got 32, but you got a 22, a 12, 32, 40, 28. He's putting up Tom Brady numbers. But again, like Aaron Rodgers, here's a guy that, you know, you hold his legacy here, but his fantasy is somewhere around here. There's the bottom tiers. He's nowhere near there. You have the upper tiers of fantasy. He's really not there. And then you have real life where he is here. He will win you a game where you're losing the game, the entire game, until the last 2 minutes. I would rather be down 6 points with Tom Brady with 2 minutes left to go than be the team that's up by 6 points. He wins those games. Fantasy football, though, they're kind of leaning on their run there in New England. But whatever, man. You got him. You can't hate on him. The guy's going to put up numbers. Whatever. Good for you. Julio Jones. Projected 20 points a week. You got a 28, you got a 12, a 16, a 28, a 12, and a 25. Julio Jones and Matt Ryan at this point should be mentally attached at the hip. They should have this unspeakable bond where Matt Ryan could close his eyes and throw the ball, and Julio Jones should just come down with it magically. Somehow, some way, that is not the case. The guy doesn't have a touchdown this year. He has no touchdowns. Julio Jones doesn't have a touchdown through 6 weeks. He has a 150-yard game. He has a 175-yard game. He has a 170-yard game. If you take his top 3 weeks, he has almost 600 yards and no touchdowns. Touchdowns are 7 points. The reception, the 6 points for the touchdown, plus the yardage. This guy has not scored a touchdown yet. You have to take Julio in the second round. Your second round pick has to be giving you fucking touchdowns. Julio Jones, come on, man. It's not like they're not looking at him. He's dropping balls. Just like I'm dropping balls on this league. In all your faces. I'm number one. Julio Jones. Come on, man. Get a touchdown, man. But you got to take him, and he's still giving you a 10-point floor. But out of your second-round pick, you want a lot more than that. Edelman, hey, man, I'm a Pats fan. I got to give it to you there, man. You took Edelman. You waited out those 4 weeks. And since he came back, 15 and 17. I'll take it. He'll have his 20-point games. But here's the deal with Edelman. He is a WR2. Or a flex at best. A lot of mouths to feed in New England. He is Tom Brady's security blanket. He's not his go-to, but, yeah, maybe he's his go-to. Maybe he's his go-to. I should bite my tongue there. However, Brady's always trying to discover the next big thing, trying to rejuvenate careers. So guys like Gordon, guys like Hogan, he's going to go to those guys first, honestly. Edelman's just the guy where if his first choice isn't there, he just knows he can go to Old Faithful. Julian is a fountain of youth. He's great. He's a tremendous player. Good for you on Edelman. Ezekiel Elliott, you got to take the guy. Love him. 18, 20, 14, 35, 16, 18. He's putting up the numbers he should be putting up, but you expected a little bit more. I know you got to be a little bit upset with Ezekiel Elliott's performance thus far. Most fantasy owners probably are pretty upset that he's not ripping off 25 to 30 a game. He is a fantastic pure runner. I feel like he's suffering because that offense is pretty shitty outside of him. Even if you fucking drag Jason Witten back out on the field, Ezekiel Elliott would benefit from it. Even if you brought bum-ass Dez Bryant back on the field, Ezekiel Elliott would benefit from it. The problem is that there is no wide receiver threat on that entire team. You're looking at the best wide receiver being fucking Cole Beasley. I mean, how do you even fathom that? Dak can run too, so I mean, he always has that thought in the back of his head. Why hand the ball off when I could just kind of take off myself? He has nobody to throw the ball to, so that's really fucking that run game, and it's fucking your team. If you weren't such an asshole to me in the group chat, I would be a little bit more sympathetic, but due to Ezekiel Elliott's stupid haircut, Jerry Jones being the most unlikable person on the planet, and the Cowboys being maybe the most unlikable football team in the history of the NFL, I can't help but fucking enjoy the fact that Elliott is not the guy we thought he would be this year. Do I hope he gets hurt? No. But do I hope he has a lackluster season as well as you? Yes. Moving forward, we also